This is If My People Bible Reading, Part 84, the book of Joshua, and the comments. We had the introduction in Part 83 with chapter 1, verse 1. Um, After the death of Moses, the servant of Yahweh, Yahweh said to Joshua, son of Nun, Moses' aide, uh, Moses, my servant, is dead. Now then, you and all these people get ready to choose the Jordan River and go in the land I'm about to give the Israelites. Note to many people who argue about the witnesses and so forth, and that Moses never died. He just went up in the mountain and whatever. This is Yahweh talking here, and he says he's dead. I can pretty well believe, and I have no problem with my faith, that Moses died. And for the number of people out there who write me and call me and say, "Oh, Bruce, you need to consider the fact that he was hidden and that he's going to come back and he never died and he's going to come back and he's going to be one of the witnesses who never died and he's going to be witnessing again and he's finally going to get killed on the streets of Jerusalem." And that's one of the two witnesses. Says here he died, okay? And if he's resurrected back then, how many resurrections do we have? 5, 10, 15, 20, 50 resurrections? The Bible mentions 2 resurrections after Yeshua. Yeshua being the first, and in the book of Revelation mentioning the ones who were beheaded for holding the word to the Father. To come back and live and reign will be the first of the first fruits brought back, resurrected, and then later on the final resurrection. But no, we don't have 10 or 15 or 20 or 100,000 resurrections whenever. The word is written by Yeshua. He is of the Father, and he wrote it. So let's just take it for what it is, okay? Goodness, the arguments that people get into. They spin around everything but what they should be talking about in these congregations sometimes on Shabbats. Even when they're doing the right Shabbat on Friday night and Saturdays, they still get into it. All right, verse 7, very important here. Be strong, courageous, because you will lead these people to inherit the land I swore to their forefathers to give them. That's not in Missouri somewhere, folks, for the Christians who claim, the certain sect of Christians who claim that the Garden of Eden and the new life of the whole world is actually somewhere near Kansas City. The land. Okay. Do not let this book of the law depart from your mouth. Meditate on it day and night so that you may be careful to do everything written in it. Now, the key word is everything written in it. Now, this is for these people at this time. That's who he's talking to. He's not talking about us in the future particularly. He's talking about these people. And the reason we know it's these people, because the word is everything written in it. That means you don't take any of it out or you're in big trouble. Today, over 200 or 300 of the 613 Torah laws, we no longer do. And we're not supposed to, because the newer and better laws came up, the newer and better instruction, the new and better Torah, spoken by Yeshua himself in the new covenant, supersedes it, and it explains it in great detail. When we get to it, you will finally see. So you will be one among 30,000 denominations who call themselves Christians who don't see it. And you will be among the hundreds of Messianic Orthodox Judaism synagogues who do not see it. They still don't see it, and yet they're such geniuses, and they wear little boxes on their heads and all these things wrapped around their hands, and they repeat things over and over again, leaning up against the wall that is not the proper wall to lean on, the western wall. Sorry, folks, you missed the temple area by about 800 to 900 feet or south of the western wall. Well, that can't be right, Bruce, because I've been to Jerusalem on my many pilgrimages, and there's a 4-lane highway. That what you're saying was the Opha area where the temple was in the time of Nehemiah and the time of Solomon and the time of David and the time of King Herod, King Herod's temple. You're saying that it can't be because there's a 4-lane highway there, that's sacred land. Well, let me give you a great big hint as we go through this, and even reading supplementary history books like Josephus. The ground of the temple area will be tilled under. Now, tilled under means that you could bust it up so there's no rocks or boulders on the surface anymore. Because if you can till land, you can't have solid rock like where the Temple Mount is right now. It's solid rock, and it has flat surface over the entire area. Solid rock. You can't till solid rock. What does it take to get through these Pharisees and Sadducees? And they're all sad, aren't they? And all the rabbis today and all the pastors who think they know everything. Just read the Word. Just read the Word. So if you take a look at Jerusalem, anywhere where the temple might have been, there's only one area that could have been tilled under, and that is to make a 4-lane highway. Think about it. If Yahweh wants to protect his area and does not want a temple put back on it again, he did a pretty good job, because he let man till the land. And it was tilled also before the 4-lane highway was put in. It was tilled thousands of years ago, like 2,000 years ago, like after the temple was destroyed in 70 A.D. The map is there. Take a look at it. Maybe I'll put it up for the next one, a part 85 or something like that. I'll bring it up to you, and I'll just show it to you and say, it's right there. So is that where so how are we going to build a temple on the 4-lane highway when Yeshua comes? It's not Yeshua coming next, folks. It's the Antichrist. It is not Yeshua. Antichrist comes first, remember? And so maybe he'll put it on a 4-lane way. He's one of them ding-dongs that even the most elect were going to get confused over, which it's not going to be too hard to confuse the elect. Look at them today. They can't even figure out where the temple was. We'll show you. Okay. It says, do everything written in it, so it's not applied to us today. Then you will be prosperous and you will be successful. Now, were they prosperous? Were they successful? The answer is, before we even get anywhere into the book of Joshua, no. So who's he talking about, prosperous and successful? The millennium to come. It's going to happen. Everything that the Yahweh, the Father, says is going to happen. Just because it hasn't happened over and over and over again, we have to go through 3 or 4 earth ages before it finally happens. It's going to happen. Okay. So I comment again. Another strong reminder that we should keep the book of the law and not consider it outdated, nor are we under it. To meditate on it does not mean follow it without thought. It means to rightly divide the word daily. This is exactly what James, the half-brother of Yeshua, wrote in the New Covenant. We should cherish it, study it, keep it correct, and use it as a powerful tool from Yahweh, a foundation of sorts, as we now today stand on the rock of salvation. Most believers can understand that the rock of salvation is Yeshua, but they also must not divide Yeshua as in old or new covenant, for he wrote them both. He is our rock, he is our Torah, he is his word, and he can never be done away with. When Yeshua came the first time, he established a kingdom of priests. He will return a second time to establish his government. This Torah, in the first 5 books, was to be hated by those in the days of Joshua. However, it will also be clear that the better Torah, the 1050 commands stated by Yeshua in the New Covenant, is the better covenant. The truth of the entire Bible will one day be written in all our hearts, those who hear and obey, those who are saved, and the need to have the written word. Bibles will no longer need to exist, nor teachers like me. This written Torah, originally the tree of knowledge of good and evil, will also no longer be found in heaven. And it's not, when you read Revelation, the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Now, I know my brother said that he believed that the tree of knowledge of good and evil was the modern day internet, Google and all that stuff. I'm telling you, I understand that. I don't have a problem with anything of these ministers who try and understand as much as they possibly can. But when you've read all of them, all 20, 40, 50 of them, and you put them together, this is what you get. You get the tree of knowledge of good and evil. It's Torah. We were never meant to follow Torah. Try following it today. Try living in the United States, which was copied under Torah into our written statutes and laws. We have 45 to 55,000 federal laws, and we have over 300,000 state and local ordinances. Try following them. You can't get to salvation through Torah and the Old Testament Torah, and you cannot get through life with the current CRAP laws that we have online. You just can't. We are overwhelmed with law. Notice as you read Revelation, the tree of life is there, but the tree of knowledge of good and evil, the tree of Torah, is not. That's where I'm coming from. Does that help you? Hope it does. Now we go to chapter 2. Then Joshua, son of Nun, secretly sent 2 spies to Shittim. Go look over the land, he said, especially Jericho. So he went over and entered the house of a harlot named Rahab and stayed there. Now here's something I want you to take it in, what I'm about to say, because I went back, my brother says, and a number of people, Bill Cloud, all those guys. Words mean things, right? Okay. So I really took their word for it. And here's what I found. Harlot was put back into Scripture. I did. I put it in ours and replaced the word prostitute that was there, that was put in by the English Bibles. Prostitute, we pretty well know what that is. Harlot, different story. Hoyden was the original word and is the root of harlot. Hoyden means bold girl, gutsy. Wouldn't you say, reading the story about Rahab, that she was gutsy? Absolutely. Would you say that she was some kind of a whore or prostitute because of a red object hanging out of a window? Is that the only way that people got and twisted around a bold girl into a prostitute? Wow. There is no indication otherwise that Rahab was anything other than a bold girl. Her actions speak louder than the word type that she was turned into after all these years of publishing Bibles throughout the world with the word prostitute as her behavior. And then, of course, the ministers, they all love to turn them into prostitutes, and then half of them get thrown out of church because of hanging around with prostitutes. Isn't that amazing? Oh, not that many, but you know what I mean, too many. This one word alone should shake the foundation of a believer so that we will return to our roots and search Scripture and discern as commanded in Torah, rightfully divide the word. The source, where did I get the source? The American Dictionary of English Language, Noah Webster's 1828 edition. 1828 edition. This is not the modern one. You have to send away for that. And Noah was probably a genius in his time, among other things that he did. So I'm not trying to shove that book down here, any other book. The Bible's all you need in life. But it just helps to understand even the story about Rahab here. Okay, so we've run out of our 15 minutes. We'll go into part 84 next, and we'll be able to cover a lot of Joshua. Keep your reading up. Keep your reading up so when I do my commentary, you don't have to jump back and try to figure out what Bruce is saying. Okay, love you guys. Hello, Marty. Hello, Mary Jo.